morning. My name is Don Kearney, Director of Parks and Recreation. Today we're excited to officially kick off the process to update the Parks and Recreation Department's system master plan that would take us through 2030. This is a 5-year plan that will guide the development of Sioux Falls parks, trails, facilities, programs, and events, and open spaces for the next 5 years. Sioux Falls Parks and Rec prioritizes public input when updates are made to the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan. It's a thing that we do every 5 years, which is a standard practice for accredited agencies. It's also required for maintaining our CAPRA accreditation, which we've held since 2010. With City Council support, we've contracted with Pros Consulting as a neutral third party to assist with public engagement, data analysis, and preparation of the recommended plan. Once complete, we will take this plan to the Parks and Recreation Board and to the City Council for their approval. Per city ordinance, we are required to present a 5-year plan for council adoption, and so that's part of this process as well. The 5-year timeline is really pretty convenient from the standpoint of having regular check-ins with the community and getting the pulse of the community. You know, during that 5-year time frame, we tried to understand what's changed since we last updated the plan. One of the things that we also wanted to share is that we believe we have a strong track record of following through on the strategies that we identified in our comprehensive plan to make sure that we not just do the planning work, but actually implement the strategies so we can get some really good outcomes. So here to talk to us today is Mike Patten. Mike's our Planning and Development Manager for Parks and Recreation, and he'll talk you through some of the wins that we've seen, but also how you can get involved as a general public into our planning process. Mike?
Thank you, Don. Again, my name is Mike Patten. And I'm excited about this topic because it's something that I use every day. It's a crucial tool for our department, and it really helps guide our decisions. It's our roadmap, if you will. As you can see by some of the accomplishments we've completed since our last plan, this plan doesn't just sit on our shelf, right? It's a tool we use every day, and you can tell by some of those items listed on the screen. Access to year-round recreation was a key recommendation from our last plan, and that was for all different age groups. And through acquisition of the West Side Recreation Center, enhancing our core recreation programs, and then transitioning out of that dated community center model all really made huge strides in this area. Another topic noted in that last plan was to address our aging aquatic facilities. And with approval of the aquatics bond and our capital program, over the next few years we'll be doing full replacements at Frank Olson Park, Keene Park, and the wading pool at McKinnon. In addition to those ideas, we also talked about continued development of Falls Park in downtown. And with Jacobson Plaza near completion, this will bring new recreational experiences to our parks and recreation system. And so it's been a while, and we've made significant strides since our last master plan. And I'm excited to show you, how we can re-engage in the planning process and how you can be a part of shaping the Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation System. This planning process really involves 3 key steps. First of all, we need to figure out where we are at today. And this involves finding out our community's demographics, researching national and local and regional trends, understanding our existing programs and facilities, and then using tools like GIS to map our level of service and make sure we're reaching the people we need to reach. And once we have that basis figured out, we move on to step 2, which is really envisioning where we want to be in the future. And so through engagement with the community, with public meetings and surveys, online tool options, and discussing the future of the park system with key stakeholders and community leaders, we really begin to envision where we need to be tomorrow. And then finally, we implement these recommendations into a strategy where we understand our priorities and our needs, as well as making sure that our organization and our partnerships are in place for this to be realized. It's important to note that our funding strategies need to be in place and recognized so that we can maintain, program, and build out a park system of excellence. You know, this type of master plan is typically called a comp plan. And it's called that because it's a comprehensive look at everything we do and everything we have. From our park amenities, like picnic shelters and playgrounds, to our recreation centers and our pools. It's all inclusive and we investigate it all. We evaluate our existing recreation facilities, the programs, the classes, and the events that utilize them. And this could be anything from your neighborhood park to a large regional sports complex that hosts practices through league play and tournaments, or an event center like the Levitt Shell that offers 50 performances a year. Trails are always a top priority for our park users. We'll be reviewing comprehensively our existing trail network and looking at how we can forecast future build-out of the trails to support our growing community. And it's also important that we look at our fees and our costs to deliver these services. We want to continue to provide that high value for our community. Now, this planning process is going to take about a year, and it's broken down into sort of 5 key phases. Now, the first phase has been going on for a while. It started last fall, and it began with our consultants and our internal team analyzing data, looking at our key demographics, our programs, our inventory, and our existing level of service. And this all provides that benchmark, that basis we need to evaluate our proposed recommendations going forward. Phase 2 is where we're at today. And this is exciting because this is where you come in. Over the next 6-8 weeks, we're going to be holding extensive community engagement opportunities. And through a variety of different ways, we'll gather that feedback. First, we'll have an engagement website, which is www.siouxfalls.gov/masterplan. If you go to that website, you can join our mailing list. You can complete an online survey. There's an interactive map on Social Pinpoint where you can give your feedback or contribute to our visioning board. All these tools are available on that website, and it's only going to take 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes to get through it. We'll also be hosting an open house on February 24th at 5:30 at our Westside Recreation Center off TLS Road. Open houses are great. They're exciting, they're energetic and informative, and they offer a real chance for you to engage with consultants and team members in real conversation to share ideas. Strongly encourage you to get out and come to that meeting. You know, in addition to just the public feedback that we'll be gathering, we'll also be engaging with community leaders like city council members, Parks and Recreation Board members, and the stakeholders through focus groups and one-on-one surveys. And this to ensure validity of all of our recommendations, we'll also be issuing a statistically valid survey for residents to fill out and send back in. And then once we gather all this feedback over the spring, we'll begin to analyze it, combine it with our technical research, and then we'll begin to form preliminary ideas and recommendations, which will take us into phase 4, which will happen later this summer, where those preliminary ideas begin to be prioritized and refined and put into a plan that can be implemented and strategically executed. And during all these different phases, we'll work with the Parks and Recreation Board to ensure the proposed recommendations support the vision and mission of the Sioux Falls Parks Master Plan. And by fall, we intend to have draft findings and recommendations that'll be ready for public review and ultimately adoption by the Park Board and City Council. So in closing, I want to point out that your feedback is essential. It's the bedrock that this plan is built on. It outlines our community's future needs for recreational services and sets a clear strategy for implementing, programming, and maintaining our park system. We strongly encourage you to go to the website or attend the open house on February 24th at 5:30. Better parks start with you. And I thank you for your time, and Don and I are here to answer any questions you might have.
The last time you did this 5 years ago, the indoor recreation part of it was a big deal. But as you know, in the debate over the Wellness Center, not the Wellness Center, the Westside Recreation Center and the Frank Olson Indoor, the question always came up, what does that mean, indoor recreation? Is there some way in this process that you can refine that idea? Are you anticipating doing that kind of thing to figure out just exactly what it is that people want out of indoor recreation?
Outdoor or indoor?
Indoor.
Okay. So, we're collecting all sorts of feedback from the community. They tell us the sort of activities they'd like to see happen in the park system, whether it be indoor or outdoor. The last plan noted a lot about year-round activity opportunities, also talked a lot about adventure and wellness, and incorporating those sort of activities into our programming was key. And so indoor recreation offers an opportunity for year-round activity. It offers an opportunity for all different age groups to be well and to be a community with each other. And so as we go through this process, we'll continue to refine that feedback and implement it accordingly.
That probably isn't going to go, just because we have the west side and potentially Frank Olson, that's probably going to be a theme again, don't you? And you didn't solve a problem by doing what we did.
Well, typically these plans, and Don's been through more of them than I have, but a lot of times the priorities are fairly consistent. People really prioritize neighborhood parks, trails, community parks, and swimming, as well as, in the last case, indoor recreation. You'll find that certain items will work their way to the top of the priority list until we construct some of them or begin offering those types of programs. And then once we're meeting those needs, they'll start to fall back down. And I think a good example of that was the Midco Aquatic Center. Offering year-round indoor swimming was very important to the community, and it rose all the way to the top. And once we built the indoor aquatic center at Midco, right, it started to tick back down because we're starting to meet those needs. So you'll see them rise, you'll see them fall based on how we're meeting the needs of the residents.
As you said, green space is always high on the list, trails. Do you feel like, the mayor pointed out yesterday, we've grown our square footage, our square mileage of the city, the footprint is growing enormously. Have we kept up with that green space? Or have we gotten a little overwhelmed by development in the third tier of development here to where there's just not as much as there needs to be?
Yeah, keeping up with growth is challenging, and we do our best to sort of forecast where future developments are going to be. So we'll work with our planning department, we'll work with our engineering team to see, where future infrastructure is going to be placed, where future roads going to go, where future housing development is going to happen. We also work with the school districts and other partners. Where's a new school going to be? Because housing follows that. And we partner with those organizations to build parks. You can see a lot of them are neighborhood parks are connected to schools, and that's, preemptively done to get ahead of housing. And we're also looking for locations for future trails to make connections to neighborhoods, and we're trying to acquire that land in front of all that development happening. And so I think we've done a pretty good job of staying on top of it. It's a challenging task, but it's something we're always looking at.
I wondered if you'd address the idea of user groups. We see you mentioned Midco, and that was driven hard by a specific user group who raised money and they organized and they did all the things. There are other examples of that. I think about the mountain biking community where they got organized. What's your message to some of these people that say, we need this and expect the city to build it?
Yeah, well, we work with a lot of different user groups. We have partnerships, hundreds of them throughout the city, some sports related, some other. We meet with them, and as part of this planning process, we'll have engagement sessions with them as well. We know everybody's got a priority and they're looking to have that implemented. Our job is to weigh them against all the different needs and priorities of the residents and try and implement what's practical.
Just finally, what do you anticipate anything new? What do you know that people have been talking to you about that would be different than what we've been learning in the 5 years ago and 5 years ago before that?
Well, I think we'll eventually start to see, as we begin to meet the needs of that year-round recreational opportunities through indoor and year-round outdoor experiences, as we bring those online into the park system, we'll see that evolve and we'll see the needs of the communities evolve a little bit. Now we're just getting into that. We're only a few months into operating the West Side Recreation Center, and we'll be developing Frank Olson here in the future. But, as the community grows, new needs will be brought to light and we'll identify them through this process.
Mike, that was a great response and wholeheartedly agree. I think the other thing, to answer your question, the thing that's on my mind, Patrick, is the last survey and the last study was done pre-COVID. This one's post-COVID. And I think the one thing that we saw after COVID is that the awareness of physical and mental health is being very important. And I'd be interested to see how the survey results change from 2020 to 2025. And is there a COVID effect or not? Because again, the thing that we saw is people just flocked to the parks like they had never done before because it was something they felt comfortable doing. So it'll be interesting to see what that factor might hold with regard to the survey results and maybe some of the feedback that we get in our stakeholder meetings. So that's one thing that's on my mind anyway.
Of course, like a bunch more money for trails, right?
Well, we
That's
hope so.
part
It's
of
always
it.
a top priority, so we try to do as much as we can.
Thanks, guys.